Hello, friends, and welcome to Season 3 of Hops and Hedges, the podcast where we talk about beer, landscaping, and everything in between. I'm your host, Heather Gerard from My Landscape Artist, and I am so glad you're here. Hops and Hedges is proudly sponsored by ext.tech, and you're going to want to stick around until the end of the show for an exclusive discount code to use for their powerful CRM software and mobile app. Now crack open a cold one, and let's dig in. Okay, here we go. With me today from Toronto, Ontario, is James Boutilier. Is that how you pronounce it? Or is it boutique, like boutique? Boutilier?
Okay. So if you ask my mother, it's Boutler, spelled like Bootler.
Okay.
If you ask my uncle who moved to Quebec, it is Boutilier.
Yep.
But it's basically like my family came to Canada in 1752 and we settled in Nova Scotia. So it is long since anglicized.
Yeah.
Depending on whether you're speaking to a French person, I might say like James Boutilier. But I'm speaking to an English person. Yeah.
Okay, so Boutler or Boutilier, which makes you sound very posh, by the way.
Yes.
You say it by
no,
that,
absolutely.
Right? Very
Fancy
high-end.
clients, I might go Boutilier. Yeah.
I love that. So, James, I've actually known you for a number, like it feels like a long time now. We've seen each other a lot at different Landscape Ontario events. You are the president of Dance in the Rain Gardening, and I love that name. So you're in your third year of business, but you've been doing this for a while. So congrats on the business thing. Very, very cool. So for those who are listening in and maybe haven't had the pleasure of meeting you in person, can you let our listeners know, who are you, what do you do, and why are you amazing?
Okay, it's a high bar. My name is James. I am the president of Dance in the Rain Gardening, which is a high-end residential maintenance company working in specific areas of Toronto. So the Bridle Path, Lawrence Park, Rosedale, essentially that 1% of the 1% is my ideal client. We are an all-electric maintenance company. So we use high-end electric tools to maintain large estate properties down to small condo terraces, which I think makes us a little bit amazing, because if you've ever worked next to a gas leaf blower, you understand how frustrating that can be. I am also a Red Seal horticulturalist. And had the privilege of going through the program at Humber.
Amazing. The Red Seal is bravo to you. And I saw in your questionnaire too. So you went through the program, you got your Red Seal for horticultural technician, and now you have an apprentice on staff. Is that correct?
Yeah. So I somewhat poached my old apprentice from my old company, because when I was doing my apprenticeship, I mentored someone else to take the apprenticeship, and he joined my company last year after completing level 2 of school. And now we're getting him ready to take his exam this year and complete his Red Seal. And we also just hired someone who is a registered apprentice with another company, hadn't done any levels of school, and we're going to be mentoring them through the apprenticeship over the next few years. So that's really exciting for us.
That's
so
cool.
I absolutely love that program.
Yeah.
Like I went into it, I already had 10 years of experience in horticulture, and I honestly learned so much. I can't imagine ever not taking that program.
And that was the apprenticeship through Humber.
Yeah, through Humber College.
Yeah. I know a little bit of a segue here, but have you heard this? There's lots of chatter about horticultural programs being canceled and being cut. And it just breaks my heart.
And it's something because it's so directly tied to the job market. Like you hear Doug Ford talking about, like, I don't want basket weaving courses. I want to cut funding, like all of these things. And then if you look at the educational programs that directly lead to jobs, like apprenticeship is a huge revenue generator. Like the number of people in my class in the apprenticeship who now are business owners who support employees and support the economy, it's crazy. And like if you give me as a landscape business owner the opportunity to hire someone with a Red Seal, I will take that over a PhD. I will take that over a master's degree 100 times out of 100.
Or no education, because how many of us are seeing people applying who have not, either they haven't done any college or university at all, right? And sometimes we know, like people who graduate high school, sometimes these individuals are great in the garden, right? If they have the right personality and the right soft skill, they will run with whatever training you give them. But if we want the best of the best employees, if we want experienced and educated employees, we have to pay them appropriately, and they need to have the program that available to take.
And I mean, it's such a great tool for retention of employees and development of employees as well. Like the idea that when you hire someone as an apprentice, they're realistically going to stick with you for at least 3 to 5 years. And that's not
Hmm.
really a given in our industry. And they then get to do something productive with the off season and enhance their skills. Like that is such a valuable tool. I really don't understand why it wouldn't be something that is worth investing in. I can maybe understand why some of the colleges are like, is this profitable enough?
Right.
Because that's the other aspect of the apprenticeship is that it's very affordable, it's very heavily subsidized, and it's something that a lot more people can access. Like the tuition for the apprenticeship used to be like $600 a session, and you only had to go through 2 sessions. Compare that with like $8,000 or more for university or college tuition.
Right. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's I have my ear to the ground, I think is the phrase of just all of
Hmm.
these changes with these programs because it's very close to my heart. I mean, I personally teach at Fanshawe in the landscape design
Hmm.
program and the horticultural technician program, but it's not just about job security. It's like in a time when climate change and environmental impacts are so important for future
Yeah.
generations, we need to be giving a shit about the environment now. See, I warned
Yeah.
you I might say shit, and I just did it now twice, and we've like
Mm.
barely started. Oh my
Oh,
goodness. Okay.
yeah.
So, James, there's a whole bunch of stuff here that we're going to get into, but I'm really curious as to what are you drinking?
What am I drinking? Okay, so sadly, I live in a sober household, so we don't actually have
Not
alcohol in the
sadly.
house.
That is quite all right
Proudly,
and
yeah,
completely
yes.
so.
But I myself am not sober, so when I'm out with friends, out on the town, I really enjoy a good cider as opposed to a beer. So I
Okay.
have with me two of my favorite local cider choices.
These are so
Uh,
cool. So for people who are listening and not watching, James has actually brought like laser cutouts of two of his
mm.
favorite ciders. So cool. Never seen this before. So James, what are these again that you have?
Yeah, so I have Brickworks cider, which is locally brewed in Toronto with Ontario apples. It's a less sweet, dry cider. And then on the sweet side, I have the Summersby Blackberry cider, which is a very sweet, delicious kind of like almost cocktaily cider.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah,
I feel
for like
that.
the hot summer afternoon. Yeah.
Yeah. And what was the other one again? Because I am still kind of on a hunt for something that is dry and actually dry and not
Yeah.
sweet. I don't
So
like apple
Brickworks,
juice.
yeah, so Brickworks cider it is much less
Brickworks.
sugary and much more dry. And I don't know if you know about like the Toronto Brickworks.
I have been there. Yep.
Yeah, it's an amazing historical site.
Very
It's
cool.
just
I do not live in a sober household, but I am drinking I don't know if we can see this because it always turns it out,
yeah.
but it's a hard apple cider, so the Dry Empire cider from our local greenhouse and cidery, Hemans. So shout out to Hemans. The Dry Empire is probably my favorite that they have, but it's a
Mm.
close, like they have, oh my gosh, what is it called? It's like an apple crumble or something like that comes out
Ooh.
at Christmas time and it tastes like apple pie. Like it's apple and cinnamon and oats and oh my gosh, it's delicious. It might be a
Yeah.
mead, actually. Yeah,
Yeah,
it's a
that's
meadery. So they do mead and cider.
yeah, that actually it reminds me of some of my apprenticeship classmates actually run orchards.
Cool.
Yeah, and it's fun to like go out to she actually did a winter dormancy pruning workshop at her
Oh,
orchard. So we got to like learn practical pruning skills. I mean, I
right.
think secretly it was just free labor.
That's what I was
Um,
just gonna say that. I was just gonna say it. Smart. Smart.
yeah, but I mean, she also had like the shop up there that sold cider and crumble and pies and all of that. And it's just one of those great things about being in Ontario is that we have local apples.
Yeah, and I didn't even realize until I worked at Whistling Gardens for my first co-op that you can also grow peaches here. Like
Yeah.
in the right microclimate, you can actually like they have
Hmm.
a peach tree at Whistling Gardens. Like
Yeah,
what?
there's a few cultivars, like Reliant and others, that are winter hardy here. Like I used to work at Sheridan Nurseries as the nursery supervisor a number of years ago. So we had to do the ordering of all the fruit trees and shrubs and all of that. And like you'd
Huh.
be amazed the amount of trees that you can get. You can get all like
Wow.
the grafted fruit salad trees, the 4-in-1s,
Yep.
little columnar ones that grow on like patio pots.
Right.
Yeah.
I've a couple of years ago I bought a oh my gosh, what is it called? I can't even think of it right now, but there's like six different apples grafted onto a tree.
Yeah.
So you get six different types. I forget, it was actually there was a fun name for it. I think it had something to do with Star Wars because
Ooh.
I remember seeing the tag and I'm like, "Oh, I'm gonna buy
Mhm.
this tree for my husband." because I want
Hmm.
plants. But if it has a
Yeah.
cool name and I can get away with, oh, it's not for me, it's for you, right?
Hmm.
But the rabbits destroyed it in the first year. I didn't do any protection on it, and it was just the
Yeah.
whole thing, like top to about 6 inches down, destroyed.
Yeah,
So,
no, the rabbits have just been ravenous the last couple of years, like especially with all the heavy snowfall that we've been having.
absolutely.
Like I was shocked last year. Like they massacred oak leaf hydrangeas, Japanese forest grass, echinacea, just like absolutely everything. It
Mm.
got to the point where I was having to spray Bobex. Do you know
Hmm,
Bobex?
I don't.
So it is a concentrated fish emulsion and hot pepper spray that you can
Wow.
apply as a deterrent on like herbaceous perennials and tree bark to kind of keep the rabbits away.
Yep.
But it will only work for about 2 to 3 weeks, and then you have to reapply.
And then
And it
reapply.
stinks. Like it stinks. So you can
Ew.
imagine explaining that to clients. Like, why does my property smell like fishy peppers?
Fishy
Yeah.
peppers. That should be in the
Yeah.
commercial to sell this
Yeah.
product. Yeah.
Yes. Fishy peppers.
Fishy
Yeah.
peppers. And that's like the worst of two evils, right? You
Mhm.
decide, do you want your animals to eat everything or do you want your place to smell?
Huh.
Those are your options. So,
Yeah. I mean, I had
um,
a client request a pet hawk as a way of addressing the rabbits, which I talked to Toronto Conservation about. Not legal. Not legal
no,
at all. No.
no. Wow.
Yeah.
I have seen like the radio, not radio, but it's a massive speaker in a winery, like a vineyard, and it would
Hmm.
have like different bird calls to deter
Hmm.
pests. But
Okay.
I don't know if it's, I mean, maybe somebody's listening and knows what I'm talking about.
Yeah. No,
It
if
was quite jarring
if anyone has a
as
good solution for rabbits, be it like pet coyote, pet hawk, something that really works, I
pet
would
coyote. Yeah.
absolutely love to know.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've heard different things. Like I've heard putting even human hair, like you go to the hairdressers, you get a haircut. You're like, "Oh, when you sweep that up, can you just bag it for me so I can take it home and put it in my garden to deter
Yeah.
rabbits and
I think
deer?"
that
But I
yeah.
don't think I want to do that personally.
I mean, if it works, because like the warranty replacement costs on some of these properties, when it's like 60 oak leaves and 200 grasses,
My gosh.
yeah.
Yeah, see, you know how I solve that is I'm one of those weird landscapers that don't offer a plant warranty.
I have
So,
tried to go that direction, but because of the nursery industry, it is really hard to get away without warranting your plant material. Like I'm 1 year and I don't warranty the labor on replacements.
right.
But I have to compete with Sheridan nurseries and all of these nurseries that have like a 2 year warranty. And actually,
Right.
one of my proudest accomplishments in horticulture was that I helped to kill the no hassle warranty with Sheridan nurseries. So I was just a lowly nursery supervisor, and my manager at the time was a godfather in the industry with 45 years plus experience managing the Toronto store. And we were looking at data for what were we replacing and how much was it costing us? Because the perspective for a lot of nurseries on warranty replacement is that they have high scrap. Like they grow a lot more than they're able to sell.
Yep.
So if they have to just give customers the plants that would otherwise be scrapped, they're not really taking a heavy loss. But the reality is what we were replacing was majority outside requested products. So it's the cedars from Oregon, it's rhododendrons, it's Japanese maples, it's all these products that you're not actually growing locally and you're sourcing in. So
Right.
you have to pay the wholesale replacement cost on each one of those plants. And I remember ivy screens were a huge one for us. So I did up this sort of analysis for him, and they presented it to Sheridan. At that time had just switched from being a family run to a Maple Leaf Food CEO,
Okay.
and they actually changed the warranty from being no hassle to buy with confidence. And they put in a bunch of caveats that were really helpful. So they removed warranties on material that was grown in container, because that
Yep.
was another huge one, like condo terraces without insulation, too small pots, just you like I had to oversee the planting service, and we would have contractors tell us that when their son joined the company like 10 years later, their first day was replacing a hedge that they replaced 10 years ago. And
Hmm.
like every year they go and replace the same hedge over and over because it
Right.
was no hassle. It's like the Costco of, and it's not.
It's not.
Uh,
These are living
Yeah.
things. So it's one
Yeah.
thing when, so like Sheridan, and you'll have to correct me if I'm wrong, because I assumed that it's Sheridan was just wholesale plant sales, but do they do installation or no?
So it's shifted a bit over the years. So they originally, my understanding is they did internally have that service, but it wasn't profitable.
Hmm.
So what they do is they have all of these Sheridan authorized contractors, and they used to operate a landscape design service out of the Unionville store, which unfortunately was sold out. And the way it would work would be the Sheridan designers would design gardens, and then they'd recommend a Sheridan authorized contractor to go.
Yep.
And then the stores themselves also ran a planting service. So someone who was like a retail guest could come up to the cash, buy a wire basket tree, and the cashier would upsell them on, oh, would you like this planted? And then an authorized contractor who someone shared has vetted to be like they're qualified, they'll honor the warranty. And like part of being vetted to cover that warranty is that you have to be fiscally able to bear that burden
Right.
because it's a lot of money that you can lose. Like you can imagine, like I always felt bad when we would send out these huge planting jobs to properties we had never had a chance to like actually inspect to be like, is this actually the right choice? Are they going to run into like planting underneath a massive maple tree or something just and the contractors would basically not have any real notice. They'd go out, they'd plant, the plant would fail. Like they weren't required to have an irrigation system. Like it was a challenging program.
Oh man. Yeah, right
Yeah,
plant, right place, right? I
yeah.
know that that is definitely something that you guys focus on. You guys are also like your team is highly trained. Like this is
Mhm.
something you really, I mean, we've already talked about the apprenticeship, but you guys are using electric equipment. You
Mhm.
are really focusing on the right plant, right place, and you are
Mhm.
really making sure that the people who work for you and your team that they know how to plant, they know how to do inventory analysis, they know the right conditions to make the
Yeah,
appropriate recommendations. So
yeah,
pretty awesome
yeah. And
what
that's
you're doing.
something that I love teaching as well. Like that was a big part of me with the apprenticeship is that I enjoy learning, but I also enjoy teaching. And
Hmm.
Dance in the Rain is short for life isn't about waiting for the storm to pass. It's about learning to dance in the rain. So
I
learning is
love
really
that.
big for us.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was going to ask you about that actually, because that is it's not just the name of your business. Like
Hmm.
that is an impactful statement, right?
Hmm.
Not just choosing to wait for a storm to pass, but to actually choose to dance in the rain. This is like
Hmm.
a life motto, sounds like. Like, is this
Yeah.
how you go
No, it
through life?
Yeah, no, absolutely. Like there's a fairly long story behind why we adopted that name. But it's something that like in the day-to-day of gardening when we're working out on those harsh rainy days or those cold days, like our crew will be like, we're
Yep.
dancing, we're singing, like we're going, like maintaining that positive attitude is really important for us. Like our motto that we'll physically say is the right tools. So those electric tools, like if someone comes to me with a $2,000 tool and they're like, this is the right tool, I will look seriously at any tool. The right training, so the apprenticeship, and then the right attitude. And that attitude comes down to dancing in the rain.
I love that.
Yeah.
Have you actually, this is such a random question, but dancing in the rain is one thing. Have you
Mhm.
actually ever laid down on the ground during a rain event?
Yeah, absolutely. Like
For
it's unnerving, but it's like giving yourself up to the universe. Like there's so much power in that and like the ability to just be present. Like life is short. You have to live it. You have to enjoy it.
Yep,
Yeah.
why not? So for anybody listening, it sounds crazy, but I am telling you, it is an experience to do at least once in your lifetime. When it is raining, hopefully it's like a summer rain, so the ground isn't freezing cold, but just go out there. You don't have to put your bathing suit on, leave your clothes on. They'll dry. That's what a dryer's for, right? Or a
Mm.
clothesline when it's sunny the next day. But go outside and just lay down, face up, starfish, arms out,
Yeah.
legs out,
Mhm.
and just get rained on. Because why
Yeah.
not? Why not? So
Hmm.
I love your philosophy and I love the way that you run and approach your business. So,
Hmm.
kind of an interesting story that you talked about a little bit before we started recording was that you actually started your educational journey thinking you were going to be a
Hmm.
doctor.
Yeah.
So, let's talk about that.
Yeah, so I did really well in high school. Like I was in AP, math, AP, and I did well. So I thought like every kid who did well, oh, I'm gonna be a doctor. And then I went through first year biology and chemistry and I absolutely hated first year chemistry. It
Oof.
just wasn't for me. And I ended up switching into environmental management and biology. And I was at the Mississauga campus of U of T, which is a really cool riparian ecosystem. Like it's part of the Credit Valley Conservation Area. You have the Riverview Conservancy right there. It was just such a cool place to learn about plants.
Yeah.
And they had really cool courses that weren't really traditional for university. So they had an environmental sustainability practicum course where
Mm.
you got to work with like a partner charity or agency on a project and then actually try and make that project a reality. And I was a super keener and I decided rather than actually work with a charity, I was going to work with myself. And the
Okay.
project I submitted was on the feasibility of establishing a campus community garden. And the way I proved it was feasible is I just did it.
Nice.
I found the location, I secured the funding, I set up a system to manage it, and it had a huge impact on my career because after that, I went and did Canada Summer Jobs with the Stop Community Food Center and the Stonegate Community Health Center, Meal Exchange. So just a bunch of charities and nonprofits working around urban agriculture and food security. And
Mm.
that got me really like working with plants, but also people, because community gardens really aren't about growing produce, they're about growing community. And that
Mm.
was something that I've kind of taken with me.
Yeah. I love that. Something too that you had said before we started recording is that us as horticulturalists and landscape professionals, we work with plants, but we work for people. And that was something you
Hmm.
said. And I thought that was really,
Yeah.
that sums it up nicely,
Yeah.
right?
It
I
really,
I think I like to work with plants and
mhm.
like work for people rather than work with people. Does that make sense? It maybe
Yeah.
sound like a bad person, but I enjoy working for people, as in the
Hmm.
people stay over there,
Yeah.
right? I'm going to do this thing here with plants for you, but you stay over there rather
There,
than
there's,
working with, there's some distance. Like, I don't know how to properly phrase that.
yeah, no, if you want to come and help me with the garden, you're at this higher hourly rate
Yes,
than if I'm working alone and I can actually do my thing. Because, like, I love chatting with clients, I love engaging them with their
me
gardens,
too.
but it is so hard to try and get things done with a set of eyes watching you.
Yeah, and especially when and I think the general public, they're just excited. I mean, we're excited
Mhm.
about what we do, otherwise we wouldn't do it. But I think it's very easy for them not to understand or realize that
Mhm.
we can either or we can be hired for, a one-on-one teaching, hands-on kind of
Mhm.
experience where we're not trying to finish something, right? It's like a
Mhm.
learning session, or you can hire us for an hourly rate to get something
Mhm.
done for you. And
Yeah.
if you are in the way, or if you are distracting the team, that thing isn't going to
Mhm.
get done, and you are going to pay for more hours, and you're paying an
Mhm.
hourly rate, right?
Yeah.
So usually my go-to is, and if anybody else is listening and has like a go-to tips and tricks, please get in
Mhm.
contact with me because I'm curious as to what you do. But I will often say that now that you've hired me, you are handing me your property, your backyard, your front yard, this garden area. So this
Mhm.
is my workspace. And because of
Mhm.
insurance, I need you to have steel toes. And if you don't
Yeah.
have steel toes and you don't have a chainsaw license and you don't have
Mhm.
education in planting and you don't have a certificate and you're not getting paid hourly, I need you off of
Yeah.
my job site.
I
And
love
it's,
that.
I
Yeah.
don't quite say it like that, but that's usually what I say. I said, this is no longer for this, however many days or hours, this is no longer your backyard. It's my job site. And for insurance
Mhm.
purposes, I can't have somebody on the job site without steel toes.
Yeah. No, the thing is some of my clients will run out and buy steel toes if you make that the barrier.
Ah,
Like I had one client, because it was 2 years ago now, we actually arranged a private demo day for them with
oh,
steel, and they bought several $1,000s of steel electric tools just to play around with in their own garden. And I absolutely love that kind of client who's like engaged in the garden and like
right.
wants to help, but at the same time, you would help me if you weren't there.
Yes, but I
Yeah.
love that what you said is they hired you for a demo day, right?
Yeah.
This means a hands-on, very interactive experience. That's what you've signed up for and that's what you've paid for. So that's what I'm prepared to do. But if you hired me to complete a job and you are preventing me from getting that job done in a timely manner, I'm not going to be very happy with you. So
Yeah.
it's just this little thing, just this little thing.
Yeah.
So, speaking of tools, you actually mentioned on the questionnaire something called a pro action. Actually, you said pro action hose, which when I read
Oh,
that, I was like, is this a strip club?
hose.
Like pro action hoe,
I
action
mean,
hose.
I
Sounds
I
like a club.
do I do love myself a good hose as well. But a Pro Action hoe it's like a triangular hoe that you basically bring through the garden as a way of sort of cultivating out weeds, enriching like that top layer of soil.
Yep.
One of the things I think you almost have to Google an image to get an understanding of how this works, but it's basically
I'm looking
our
it up right now.
replacement. It's our replacement for a cultivator. Over time, we've kind of learned that like cultivating the soil on a regular basis really isn't good for soil biology and mycology. By using a Pro Action hoe, I can be a lot more shallow in the way that I'm touching the surface of the soil. Um, and it's also just ergonomically a lot easier for us. It looks a little bit nicer. And when you have a huge space to do, like we have properties that want us to cultivate every single week, using the Pro Action hoe just makes it so much easier.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I'm looking it up now. I'm more familiar with the Dutch hoe, which is
Yeah.
a very similar tool, looks
Mhm.
like. But you're really just looking or you're working with like the top maybe 2 inches of soil. And even that is pretty deep. Like you're just
Yeah.
working with the surface. That way you're not disturbing all of those, the
Yeah.
fungi and the beneficial insects and the worms and all that stuff that need to be kind of left
Mhm.
alone.
Yeah, it's got basically a hole, which is what differentiates it from the Dutch hoe. So it allows the soil
Mhm.
to pass through at a very shallow depth.
Yep,
Yeah.
awesome. Okay, well, that is now on my list of tools to buy. So thank you for
Yeah.
that. I will be getting one of those. Something else that was on the questionnaire that I wanted to talk to you about was that how the native plants, right? Like the
Mhm.
industry and this movement, I would say, of everybody buying and planting and installing, designing with native plants isn't necessarily always the answer, right? Like we
Yeah.
have the environment is changing, we have climate change, and people are looking for low maintenance
Mhm.
gardens. So do you want to talk about that a little bit?
Yeah, I mean, so working in the nursery industry, you understand how much goes into plant breeding and horticulture in order to create plants that are suitable to our particular microclimate, especially in an urban environment where things are typically more heavily irrigated than you'd find in the wild. Things are more compacted. There's not as much space. There's not really that availability to broadcast seeds and have things grow on their own. So while I am looking at incorporating more native plants, I'm very resistant when it comes to going 100% native or really pushing native on urban gardens because we don't have a lot of meadow environments in people's backyards. We don't have true woodlots. Like it's really hard to plant a bunch of spring ephemerals and then have the client's heartbreak when they don't come back because they
Right.
just fried in the summer because they don't have the shade, they don't have the environment for them. And that native environment has really evolved. Like if we look at the native environment when these plants that we call natives evolved in, it's a very different environment from what we have in the city today.
Yeah.
So I really value finding that plant that does things for people as best possible. So that also means planting things that have a bit more of a showier flower. Like I know Lorraine Johnson has said, like, don't begrudge astilbes because
Right.
they're not native, but like they do attract pollinators. They do have value. Don't begrudge roses. And I love
Hmm.
having that fragrance, that dimension to gardens. And also like rare collectors gardens. Like I really loved like dwarf conifers and like interesting things. Like my favorite plant I ever sourced for someone is I got a Cedrus atlantica glauca pendula
I know
serpentine.
exactly the plant you're talking about. That's
Yeah,
crazy. We're totally plant
yeah.
nerding out right now. Awesome.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah. So that is for those of us who don't speak botanical. So that is a weeping blue atlas cedar serpentine form, which is a marginally hardy evergreen typically found in Europe. And it just has this like absolutely stunning cascading blue foliage that's almost like a larch. And because of its form, it can be kept relatively small. And I saw them in France. I fell in love with them. I saw one at NBK Nurseries and originally bought it for myself, being like, I need this. And then I
Yeah.
just didn't have any spot for it.
Oh,
So I ended up giving it to Marion Jarvie, who is a really amazing designer in their own right and has probably the most beautiful garden I've ever seen in Thornhill.
oh, I've got to see
She
this
does,
garden.
yeah. So she actually, if you go to her website, it's just marionjarvie.ca. She does open gardens. So she
Oh.
actually invites the public into her garden 3 or 4 times a year. And she sources rare and interesting plants to sell at those open gardens. So she works with like Darren from Whistling Gardens, people from Cannondale. Like she works with people to get like really cool plants. They do tend to be what Darren will call like the green bananas, like the young plants,
Right. The
as
green
opposed to
bananas.
bananas, as opposed to like the ripe bananas that a lot of clients want in their gardens.
Yeah.
But that also makes them a bit more affordable because if you
Hmm.
can buy a green banana for a couple $100 versus a mature specimen for a couple thousand and
Yeah.
just be patient, it can make a big difference.
Feel like
But
that's
yeah,
something that you and I have going for us is that we are in the, the under of age 50, right? If I do say so. And so we have that opportunity to buy these unique plants at a smaller
mhm,
size, to be patient and to see what they do. Well, we
mhm,
think we have time, but time isn't guaranteed. That's a whole other thing.
yeah,
But there's a lot of times we get clients who, they've lived a full life, they have a full bank
mhm,
account, and they want
yeah,
a plant that is going to bloom now. And right? And so it depends on the situation. Again, right plant,
yeah,
right place, right but so,
yeah,
but I'm
and
excited to I've started my
yeah,
collector's garden. So my garden is
ooh,
definitely like the one-offs. Usually when I'm working with a client, I will
mhm,
get them their plants, but then I'll always add a couple plants on the order for me.
yeah.
I haven't had them all labeled yet, but I do have a big stack of all the tags once I
Yeah.
actually create the tags for it.
Yeah, I have a problem with that where I will buy a plant for myself
Ah,
because I think it's really cool, but I always, without fail, end up giving it to a client whenever they have a problem area and they're like, what could
mm,
go here? And it's like the plant that I've spent like 10 years looking for. The nice thing about being a maintenance gardener is that I'm not one and done. Like I tend to be in gardens for a really long time.
so you get to
So
still
I get to,
enjoy seeing these plants grow and thrive.
yes, and sometimes be eaten by rabbits.
Yes.
Yeah, I had this it was from Darren. It was a cultivar of Fothergilla,
Mount
blue
Airy?
something.
Oh,
No, blue, like it was a true blue Fothergilla.
I thought there was a blue sapphire Pothergilla, but
Hmm.
maybe not. But that is a
Yeah,
beautiful shrub.
yeah. But just that it was like literally glaucous blue. And then
Wow.
when you have the reds and oranges, take that on in the fall, combined
Mm-hmm.
with the blue, it's just stunning. Yeah. Planted that in a
Pothergillas.
client's garden.
Yeah, that
Yeah.
is one of the shrubs that I've really started to use more and more over the years because it's one of the first things to bloom, right? It's not as
Hmm.
early as Forsythia, but Forsythia doesn't support anything, right? Where
Hmm.
Fothergilla, both Fothergilla and Forsythia, neither are native, but
Hmm.
Forsythia doesn't support any pollinators, and Fothergilla does. I don't know how many, but very, very
Okay.
cool bloom on it. Oh, what are you
Yeah,
looking
so
up?
I found the name. So it
Okay.
is Blue Shadow Fothergilla, and you can actually find like the first one, the first result that popped up for me is actually from Darren Whistling Garden,
Okay.
which is the Blue Shadow Fothergilla, and
Fothergilla.
he, I believe, is actually propagating them.
Well, now I gotta
Because
buy
he,
that too. Thanks so much.
yeah, problem. I mean, if you do end up going to Marion's, I would love to come with you. Just pick the
Yeah,
day around.
absolutely. Well, and we're
Yeah.
actually, so this year in June, we are
Mhm.
doing I know you're in Toronto, but through
Yeah.
my company, we're doing a limo VIP garden and
Ooh.
winery tour. So the limo will pick
Ooh.
up everyone at 9 a.m. here in London, and we're going to
Yeah.
Whistling Gardens for
Okay.
a catered lunch and tour. Darren's going to give us a tour, and then we're going to the Frisky Beaver Winery.
Ooh. Okay. And
So,
when is this? And how do I buy a ticket?
well, you'd have to come
Hmm.
to London to get on the limo. So you'd have to just meet us
Hmm.
there. But you could
Yeah.
totally meet us the same day, for sure.
Yeah. Yeah. No,
Um,
I love getting out to Whistling Gardens. Like I actually walked it last year with Marion, and it was
yeah,
just a cool experience. Darren really has done wonders with that place.
he has. I remember, so I was there for my co-op in 20, 2014,
Hmm.
and I think they had only opened it like in 2010,
Hmm.
like 2010 or 2005, something like that. So the garden was quite young when I was there.
Yeah.
And just to go back every year,
Hmm.
it's really cool. Okay, here we
Yeah.
go. So the VIP limo trip, we are going
Hmm.
on June 20th. So
Okay.
make a note. We are departing 9 a.m. from London. It's going to be 150 bucks plus HST per person for the limo, catered
Hmm.
lunch, Whistling Gardens private garden tour, which includes the water fountain show. And then we're going to the Frisky Beaver
Ooh.
Winery for a tasting, and then we're coming back to London.
Hmm.
But you could
Yeah.
totally meet us there.
Yeah, that would be cool. And I mean, I love that water fountain show. I was actually where we did our team fun day this year.
Neat.
So we arranged it with Darren. We went out to the gardens, walked around the gardens, and then stayed and watched the fountain show.
Yeah,
And it was super fun. It was like a great way for the team to come out, out over some plants and some horticulture.
totally.
And then just like, especially at night, that show is spectacular.
Yeah, because he has all the lights now. So have you
Yeah.
been there for the night light show?
Yeah, we went for the nightlight show.
And they sell out every year. So if you want to
Yeah.
see some cool lights in a garden, get your tickets as soon as they become available because they always sell out every year. Have you been there for their peony show, like at peak peony season?
I think I went just as they were budding, but I didn't get to see like the spectacular full bloom.
You got into it. Oh my gosh, they're home to
Hmm.
North America's largest peony collection,
Yeah.
and it comes in waves. So on their Facebook page, they actually announce like 2 days from now, it'll be peak peony season, or, like this is just about to bloom, like get here ASAP type thing, but extraordinary. And I didn't like peonies until I went to Whistling Gardens and saw their collection. So now
Mhm.
I like peonies.
Yeah, and I love his approach to peonies because even though he has the largest peony collection in North America, there is not a single peony stake. He
Right.
is very like totalitarian, like
Yeah.
either you stand up and do your job on your own, I'm not coddling you.
Yeah.
And I love that approach to gardening. Like asking him, like, it must have been so fun to work there. I'm like, how do you irrigate this huge property? And he's like, what do you mean irrigate?
Yeah, he doesn't.
Yeah.
So I think
And
that's where I learned like really
yeah,
how to garden because that was my first co-op. Everything is a spade edge. So
yeah.
there's no stone edging, there's nothing like that. He doesn't irrigate anything and there's
Hmm.
no mulch. So if they take a tree down and they have, oh my gosh, what am I trying to say? Wood chips, right? Then they'll
Yeah.
spread it in the garden, but they don't mulch. They don't
No.
mulch, they don't fertilize, they don't irrigate. They do very
Yeah.
little deadheading just so
Hmm.
you can really see what these plants can do if you just leave them
Hmm.
alone.
Yeah. Let it be.
Let it
And
be.
that's such a complicated thing in garden maintenance where so much of what we do is coddling. And
Yeah.
like we get these plants that really aren't resilient as a result. And it's very hard to actually change mindsets on that. Like I'm getting more and more clients where we can, to a certain degree, leave the leaves, where we can sort of reduce these irrigation programs that were set up to run every single day
Oh
and
my
get it
gosh.
down. And it's horrendous because we also get, if you run irrigation every day, like these shallow root systems, you start to get mosquitoes. Like, it's like, let me take over your irrigation system. Let me reduce this as much as possible. Let's build a resilient garden. Let's stop cultivating the soil every single time because you're paying for me to do this, and I'm just making your garden less resilient.
Yeah.
But
It's huge.
in the business of horticulture, it's a really hard step to take because it is revenue, it's bread and butter. Like sacrificing fall cleanups or even delaying spring cleanups is another big one.
Hmm?
Like having the clients who want to be conscious of pollinators and wait when you have staff scheduled and you want to make sure that they're getting enough hours, like
Yep.
it becomes really challenging. One of the things we're trying to do is grow enough that we can take on enough properties that we don't have to do the things that don't necessarily need to be done.
Right. And education is a huge part of that. I know I was just having a conversation with the new president, Lindsay Ross from Landscape Ontario, and I was mentioning to him that I don't do now I'm not big on maintenance. I'm very
Mm-hmm.
again very niche here in London, but I have three clients that are quite high end that I maintain just their gardens. I don't do the lawn,
Mm-hmm.
and all three of them I have informed them as to why we don't clean up
Mm-hmm.
right away.
Yeah.
So, and they understand that, what, their place might not be as clean as their neighbors early
Mm-hmm.
on or at the same time, but they know why I'm waiting.
Yeah.
And I can't say it enough. I wait for 10 days, consecutive days at 10 degrees above zero. So, and then I do not pick up any leaves. I do a lot of chop and drop. So it's a lot
Mm-hmm.
of that mulch.
Yeah.
So instead of, some people think chop and drop is like you have a massive echinaceas or the purple coneflowers and you cut them at the base and you just let them fall over. But you're actually taking the shears and you're chopping up the
Yeah.
echinacea in pieces from the top down. So it's little smaller pieces. And when they
Yeah.
fall to the ground, they actually lock into each other and they work just like mulch, right? It came with, I needed to inform them first as to why we're going to
Mm.
do it this way. And it took
Yeah.
some time, but they're all on board. So
Yeah.
shout out to my three amazing maintenance clients.
Yeah. Yeah. I've done chop and drop for my own personal garden. And I've also done leave the leaves where we wait until it's warm enough and then we mulch them all with a lawnmower and then kind of just blow them back in gracefully so that we get sort of that more rapid decomposition. And then the leaf mulch looks a little bit cleaner. And like lo and behold, by July, it's all gone.
Right.
But
if your garden is healthy. Because some people say, well, if I mulch my leaves, it's just, it doesn't break down. Well, that's because you don't have a resilient garden and it's not living.
It's also the challenge of we have a lot of different species. So with like oaks that are really rich in tannins, like these take a really long time to break down. Or you have trees that are marescent, so they're not really dropping until spring. So like all of your beech trees and your hornbeams, they take so much longer to break down. And it's such a hard sales pitch sometimes, especially in neighborhoods where like gardens exist almost so that you can look good to your neighbor.
Which is a whole psychology thing, right? We could have a whole episode just on the psychology of garden and lawn maintenance. So with that, we are at time. But do you remember the joke that you said on your questionnaire? I thought it was really cute.
Ooh, I remember that I had to use ChatGPT to generate that, and I fully disclosed that in the questionnaire, but I don't remember what the joke was. So
you said that you like gardening because it keeps you grounded.
Yeah.
Literally. I love that. Dad joke. I'm all for the dad jokes
joke.
and the puns.
Awesome.
James, it was really great talking to you for the past 50 minutes or so. It's been really great getting to know you over the last little while. We met at one of the Landscape Ontario professional development seminars, and we've just kind of seen each other at a number of different events, and I'm sure we're going to see each other at many more. So
absolutely.
Thanks again for taking the time. You betcha. And we will see you around.
All right. Thanks so much.
Cheers. That brings us to the end of this week's episode of Hops and Hedges, hosted by me, Heather Gerard of My Landscape Artist. Now, before you go, here's a quick word from our sponsor, ext.tech. In today's fast-paced world, landscaping businesses need modern tools to keep up with constant change, and that's where EXT comes in. EXT is transforming how landscaping, snow removal, and construction companies manage their operations. Using streamlined client management, real-time financial insights, and a modern mobile app your team will actually enjoy using. And with flat-rate pricing, there are no surprises, just clarity and control. If you're ready to revolutionize and grow your landscaping business, visit ext.tech to learn more. For additional savings, use the code HOPS10 at checkout, or just tell them that Heather sent you.